morning. Another beautiful day here in the northeastern part of Thailand. It's been a good night. I could almost manage with only 3 visits to the toilet. Ended up doing 4, but I probably could have done it with 3 if I really wanted it to. And it is a very pleasing part of the life when simple things like that can bring so much joy. And the reason why that is probably not that I feel joy about it, but that I could minimize it to that is because I made some small adjustments to my protocols. I've mentioned the forbidden health that I'm not allowed to talk about on this channel, so I won't. I don't want to have any strikes here anymore. But I can just say that I have reduced that to a minimum, and I've done that because one of the things I'm struggling with when we're talking protocols is that everything seems to be too much of a one-size-fits-all, and there's no such thing. And one of the things that I've learned through Andreas Kalka, which makes sense, it is that oxygen is the key thing that one have to focus on. He explains that very well in his book. But if you're following another guy called Gary Brecka, also a very knowledgeable guy working in the insurance industry previously, and he knows a lot about health. He says the same thing independently on Andreas Kalka, that when he goes out to his shows, live audiences and podcasts and whatnot, the one single thing that he emphasizes when he's talking about health is oxygen. And as I've mentioned before, who is the healthiest person? That is the athlete or the couch potato. And everybody knows, obviously, it's the athlete. Now, I know that exercise is good, and I've been doing exercise for that very reason. But when I've been doing exercise, I have been doing exercise because I thought that the flow, I mean, they say high intensity interval training, the HIIT training is particularly good. Then it's because of the blood flow. The blood flow prevents the cancer to metastasize and consolidate other places in the body. So by maintaining a constant and regular exercise where you're getting your heart up running fast, you are preventing metastasize from happening. And while that is probably very much true indeed, then there is another aspect to it. When you are running, when you're doing exercise, you're breathing more, and by breathing more, you're bringing more oxygen into your body. So that actually correlates very well with the Andreas Kalka's book that talks about that the oxygenation of the cell on cellular level is what alkalizes things, and that is what creates a metabolism in the cells. It is like the fuel for a fire. If there's no oxygen to a fire, there is no combustion going on. And that's quite interesting. I've got my Garmin Fenix 6, I think this version is, and I remember during the COVID times, I had my SpO2 turned on, which is the feature that shows my oxygen level in my blood. Now, obviously, it's not a medical instrument, as they always emphasize, but it still gives you a good indication of where it is. And I remember my oxygen level was at about 92 or 93, which was in the very much lower end of what was preferable. It should probably be about 97, 98, 99 or something like that in order to be really good, but mine was never there. And because at that time people started talking about that if you had low oxygen levels in your blood, then that was probably a sign that you got COVID. I got a little bit annoyed. I didn't want to have a reminder of that all the time, so I turned it off. But just yesterday I remembered that I had this feature, and I turned it on again. Because there's also another thing that has been puzzling me, and I think the science is still looking into it, and that is the Wim Hof breathing techniques. He's doing these 30 deep breaths where you are not having any pauses between the inhale and the exhale. And you do that 30 times, and you hold your breath for a minute and a half or so, and then you continue doing another 30, and you do that 3 times. And why is that working so well? I never really understood that. But obviously, it is again oxygenation of your body. You are actually alkalizing your body by oxygenating it, because oxygen is one of the biggest oxidants we have, and it's the one we get in our body from the very first step we take our first breath. So I'm now focusing more on the natural ways to do the things in terms of bringing that balance. And that's, I've mentioned now in a few of my videos, all my supplements is just supplements now, nothing more, which is actually good because that means it will last me so much longer. But as far as the Forbidden Health goes, then I cannot mention it here. So I've created another account on Rumble, and that account is not called Life with Prostate Cancer. That's out of a psychological perspective. It's called Sithney, S-I-T-H-N-E-Y. I'll tell the story of why it's called Sithney. I'll do that on the Rumble channel. I have not uploaded at the point of this video anything to the channel yet. I've just set up the account. So if it can be found at all, I'm not sure. But if you want to find out more about the things that I can't talk about here, then that channel will definitely be the place to go to. So back to the start of the video. Yeah, I only had to go 3 times last night, which is brilliant. I think it's because I also started to do charcoal, activated charcoal, 2 tablets 2 times a day, so in total 4. And that's because I came across some information that it's okay to take serrapeptase. It's actually quite important to take serrapeptase because it kind of destroys or breaks down the protein that you don't want in your body and take all the garbage out when you have maybe residue of cancer that's been killed off. But it doesn't take it off, it just breaks it down. But if you're not having a way to flush it out of your body, then it'll just stay there as toxins. And one way to do that is by taking activated charcoals. Never done that before, and it's weird to come across information like that after almost a year where you're thinking, why didn't I see that before? Why didn't I come across that? But anyway, I do, and it's dirt cheap, it doesn't cost anything, so it's just a little add-on to my protocol. I've also yesterday started to drink senna tea. I have got some leaf I got from Lazada. That allegedly is also FDA approved to facilitate, but it's a laxative, but it's also used to detoxify the body by many natural healers, although it is not FDA approved for that. And there's several warnings about using it very often and constantly. Haven't looked into the details of that, but I did get myself 1 cup of that. I already have been on soursop tea, 2 cups a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, for quite a long time now. But now I'll be combining it with this senna tea. In addition to that, I have in periods been suffering a little bit of headaches, and it has annoyed me, and I think it's because of dehydration. But I keep forgetting that dehydration is less about drinking water as it is to maintain the level of electrolytes in your body, because if you're just drinking water, you'll be flushing your electrolytes out, and it doesn't improve your headaches. So I changed my way of doing this. Normally I get my electrolytes in the morning, so now I'll prepare an electrolyte of my own mixture made of Celtic salt, potassium, magnesium, and taurine. And I'll mix myself a good bottle of that and have on my night table, so that's what I'm drinking during the night. And I ended up drinking a full bottle, that is 600 milliliters of electrolyte during the night. My headache was gone, perfect, but I think that contributed also to a lesser need to go to the loo. So, and my urine flow seems to have improved a little bit now as well, which I'm really thrilled about. It might just be a fluke because you cannot make statistic on one single night, but it all adds up to some more positive mindset, and by positive mindset you kind of have a snowball effect, which I'm very happy about. So let's see what's going on. But since I've now dropped down on the Forbidden Health kind of protocol, I am actually contemplating again to push on my modified citrus pectin. But we are well into we got 3 weeks before I got to do my next PSA test. So I'll have to think about that. Tomorrow I'll be heading down to Palia again to do another run, one run that I've been wanting to do for a couple of years. but I've never succeeded to get on the team. It is an invite only kind of run, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. Had it not been a special one, I would not have gone, but it's a good opportunity, and it's always a good motivational factor to stay fit, if not just to oxygenate your body. So yeah, that's where we are. A few new things: Senna tea and activated charcoal to go in conjunction with the serapeptase. That's the new add-on, and then my electrolyte in nighttime. But we are, well, another 5 days. We are 13 months. Isn't that August, September? No, 14 months since I got my first PSA, and I can still say that apart from water flow, I haven't felt better in my life. Absolutely not. But people, they say, why do you do? Well, yeah, let's just take that little topic here, because that's been a problem for me to answer people. A lot of people, they say, why do you do this? How dare you do it? Do my alternative, not doing the official treatment. And it's been very difficult for me to explain, although it's very logical. Why would I destroy my body when I don't have to? But obviously that's not how people see it. But I realized I'm doing the exact same thing as everybody else. I'm doing what I believe in, and I'm doing what I believe in for as long as I believe it, and for as long as I see results that is not detrimental to my prospect of a good life. Meaning, as long as it seems to work, or as long as it doesn't not work to a degree that it becomes critical. In that moment, it does become critical, if it should ever happen. Then I'll do like everybody else. I will turn to the alternative. My case is just happens to be opposite of what most people do. Most people, they go to the destructive treatments of treating symptoms in the medical industry, and then when they are having to experiencing the sunset time of the drugs, where the drugs doesn't work anymore, and they're now giving 6 months to live because there's nothing else that helps them, and they've been in pain and agony for years and years, then they turn their eyes on alternatives, which to them are these holistic solutions, this is homeopathic solutions, and not the allopathic solutions. For me, it's just the other way around, and I believe I'm the smartest guy. I have to say that, and I know that people, they will probably object to it, and I do know people who say they feel it very, very tight about me advising people to do this, which, by the way, I'm not. I'm just saying, from my personal perspective, I do not understand why people will jump at destructive solutions, and only when they are cornered, only when they got their back on the wall and they have nowhere to go, then they will try the holistic solutions. I don't understand that, because what I'm doing is not destroying my body. Apart from maybe the fact that I'll let the cancer escalate to a point where I could have prevented it to escalate into so fast, or whatever it is, because the reality is, if you have metastatic cancer, then it has already spread, and the treatment you'll have is palliative, meaning they won't cure you, they will just keep it at a break, meaning basically just that they keep it at a slower pace, but it's not stopping. And doing so, you will eventually run out of options. But when you do that with a destroyed body. You do that with a body that has so many issues and problems based on the synthetic medicine that you've been taking, that the odds of the body to take over and repair it is just getting so much more difficult. All the while, I'm doing it the other way around. I'm giving the body a fighting chance when it has a fighting chance. And only if that fails, only if we get to the end of the rope and I am so desperate for another year or two, for whatever reason that might be, then I can do what everybody does to start with, and I probably got the same 10 years before I see the dwindling effect of the medicine. But I will give the body its own chances to fight it, rather than destroying the body first. But I am, if you gotta boil it down, doing the same thing as everybody else. I'm doing full on what I believe in, and only when it fails will I do the alternative. Just like everybody else. So that was just a little side note, but a very important one, because I think that is what people do not think about, because when they do get confronted with something like cancer, it's always something they probably, in most cases, things they haven't considered very well, and they just instantaneously want that dealt with fast. And they search for the answers at places where you instinctively would think the answers are at the medical industry, where they have got the education for it. But we kind of, those of us who has been enlightened enough to know how things work, understood that the business model for the pharmaceutical industry is just totally wrong. It's got nothing to do with health. I just saw in the news stream how the Danish politicians are now looking into one of the pharmaceutical companies because of their influences on teaching the doctors. Evidence has been proven or shown that they are teaching the doctors how to maintain patients on a constant medical flow. They're not teaching them how to wane them off or how to cure them. They are physically training the doctors in how to make sure that they stay on the medicine and they stay on a high doses, and they continue that the whole time. And now the politician says there's a problem there. We cannot have the medical industry interfering in that teaching. It has to be an independent source, because they have got invested interest, obviously. And it's just one example. I'm gathering all the examples I can, and I've got quite a few now where there is a lot of conflict of interest that actually, if people paid attention, they would see that in the news stream. But usually it's buried. Usually it's just a small notice in a small special magazine somewhere. It's not in the big news, mainstream news, that you see these things. So anyway, a little bit longer-winded than I intended when I started, but that's how it happens sometimes. It's a free world. If you don't want to see it all, which I can see on the statistic, most people don't, then it's your choice. Until next time, stay happy and healthy.